Do you feel like you're not getting most out of sniper rifles in PUBG? Are you tired of range finding using your scope? Most importantly, do you want to hit your enemies consequently no matter how far they are? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then no matter if you're a new player or top 20, keep watching this comprehensive guide to sniping in PUBG to find your answers. Hey everyone, this is Captain. In this video, I'm providing explanation of Ballistics as of 1.0 game version, and it's a guide for both FPP and third-person perspective for all the 7.62mm sniper rifles. In 1.0 they introduced a damage fall-off depending on the range, however this is insignificant when it comes to sniper rifles, as no matter how far your target is, you'll be able to take him out using Car 98 with just one headshot, even if he's wearing a level 2 helmet. We know that all the markers and range finding works well in a perfect world, while the game reality is different. You try to focus so much on remembering correct rules for shooting, but being pinned down by gunfire doesn't necessarily help. Zeroing distance in your rifle could become problematic while fighting enemies at different distances, and simply consumes a lot of time. This is why this video will focus on providing an actionable in-game sniper usage tips rather than in-depth explaining the scope range finding and hit markers. Another reason is that the update on how the bullet drop on 8x is going to translate to weapons other than Car 98 has been already announced. Therefore, I feel like it's been a much more viable option to use a common sense here with current ballistics, rather than relearning everything once again new update rolls out. This video will cover sniper rifle statistics, explanation of ballistics while shooting on various distances, and some general tips you can apply to your sniper playstyle. As a choice of sniper rifle is mostly a personal preference, I still feel obliged to lay out the sniper rifle damage stats for you. These are extracted from 1.0 version game files, and that's how we know they're absolutely correct. Feel free to pause the video to see them in detail. The rules of ballistics from this video can be applied to 7.62mm weapons because of their similar bullet speed, with an exception of MK14 because due to its bullet speed, it behaves similarly to 5.56mm weapons. Alright, let's start with the rules of fighting with sniper rifle at low range. This is obviously not an ideal place to use your bolt action rifle, so optimal choice would be changing to your other weapon, like an SMG or an AR. Sometimes even the fist might be a better option than using Car 98. The only exception is when you have just landed and facing an armed opponent. That's where it becomes tricky. The default zeroing setting for all optics for snipers is 100 meters. What is counterintuitive is that bullets they go above the line of fire and then at your zeroing distance they are exactly on it, and after they drop below it. It means that with a sniper rifle you would need to aim at the neck of your enemy in order to land a perfect headshot. Let's watch that again in slow motion. So when using snipers at very low distance, don't aim for the top of your enemy's head. Don't forget to hold your breath even without the scope to have 2x zoom. This is normalized in ADS and the field of view setting doesn't have any influence over this. Having any optics is still better than using the built-in foresights. Using semi-auto snipers like SKS or Mini 14 could still work even when fighting enemies which are relatively close. To counter their vertical recoil, you would just need to pull your mouse down while shooting. That way you can maintain a solid firing rate and a high DPS, similar to what an assault rifle would provide. In late stage of the game, swapping your 8x or 4x to an 2x or even a red dot makes sense, especially if you have a powerful sniping rifle, as it's just much easier to aim with this kind of scope when enemy is nearby. Using bolt action rifles makes much more sense while fighting opponents who are at least 100 meters away. With the built-in optics, a red dot or a holographic sight, make sure you're holding your breath before each shot. Removing the shell from the weapon gives you just about enough time to recover your lungs completely. No matter which scope you're using, if your enemy is 100 meters from you, you always have to aim in the middle of your reticle in order to be able to score a perfect headshot. This sounds good, but how do I know if my enemy is 100 meters away and not like, let's say, 200? Well, that's not too hard. Using a minimap would allow us to see how far is the enemy we're seeing. Let's have a closer look at the minimap. It's basically a square of 400 by 400 meters. That means that your position is always 200 meters away from the border. The small white square is 100 by 100 with a 141 diagonal. Based on this information, we can easily find an enemy who is within the range of our minimap. In this case, he's 100 meters away. This means we can place crosshair directly on his head. In the second example, just by taking a quick peek at the minimap, I can say exactly how far is my enemy. At 100 meters you don't need to take into consideration the terrain elevation and the bullet drop. If you're approaching an enemy who is even farther than 200 meters away from you, you can still use the big map for finding his exact proximity. After confirming the distance, all you have to do is to land a precise shot. In this case, using a 2x at 200 meters away, you would need to land your shot approximately one reticle, one dot above the actual head placement. I would also suggest remapping the usual hotkey, M, for the map, to something much more approachable like a side mouse key. The biggest advantage of this strategy is that you don't need to see your enemy to check the distance between you and him. You can do it while being behind the cover. Another extremely important thing for being a good sniper is that you have to try to scan the compounds and areas next to the rocks and trees with your scope. That's where your opponents are most likely to be. There are some rumors that soon the game will show you exactly the distance between you and your pin. That will save you some time on calculating it using the minimap. Also with time, you would probably not even need a minimap anymore, but you would have a general feeling of how far your enemies would be at a glance. Ballistics at higher distances is a very complex topic, and I'm not going to dig into the details of how to use the reticle or crosshair markers to measure distance, as this is often misleading due to an enemy not facing us directly, being hidden behind an obstacle, or being in motion. The enemy is rarely exactly at 400 or 500 meters away, and terrain elevation also messes up our calculation. The solution for this is holding the left click after first shot to precisely see the bullet drop and then use this knowledge to adjust. Swapping to your AR when fighting a target in motion might be an option worth considering. Both the Kar 98 and M24 have lower muzzle velocity than the ARs apart from the AKM and Groza. Faster muzzle velocities mean less leading and less bullet drop, as gravity has less time to act on the bullet before it hits the target. If you want to use your sniper rifle for leading shots, you have to remember the 1.2 to 100 rule. This basically means that for a target in motion, you would have to aim approximately 1.2 their body size in front of them. This is a perfect example of leading shots with sniper rifle with new ballistics. Can you guess which one is going to get shot, A or B? Well, at this distance you would have to lead your shot around 3 body sizes in front of the enemy and using third shot marker. Guy B is down. Was your answer right? Let me know in the comment section. If you've gotten this far into this video, then I've got a little something for you. In the description of the video I provided a link to some kind of practicing website where you can train your shooting aim with sniping rifles. The targets are stationary, so you will not practice leading shots there, but it's still good to have a general feeling of how far your target is. In duo or squad games, there is a high chance that downed player would have enough cover and you wouldn't be able to finish him off before his teammate would help him. Snipers are certainly more deadly when playing solo, but using it in solo mode also has its downsides. Sniper rifles usually generate a lot of noise. Car 98 can be heard in a circle of a 700-meter radius. That is a huge area. You can be sure that someone else is going to hear you shooting. This leads me directly to the first of the 5 tips I prepared for you. As long as you don't have a suppressor, do not engage players above 500 meters while in solo mode. Even if you manage to hit another player, it will be at the cost of revealing your spot to others. At its core, PUBG is a survival game, and you don't want to bring extra attention to your spot. Tip number 2 is pretty self-explanatory. You can use your sniper rifle to hurt your enemy and then use your assault rifle to finish them off. Number 3 is super important, as I still feel not enough people are doing so. Be on the move always, no matter what. You never know if the other sniper is currently aiming at your head. You already saw me exploiting tip number 4 earlier in this video. Take that split second longer in order to land a perfect shot. Pre-firing while sniping leads to tons of missed opportunities. Try to predict the exact place of where the enemy would stop. This is usually for sniping, looting the crate, or entering or leaving the vehicle. Last but not least, carry a pan on you. You never know when it can save your life in a sniper battle. Thanks for watching. If you learned something interesting, don't hesitate to hit the like button and subscribe for more. See you in the next one!